Okay, now let's move on to the final part, to the third part. It's quite a lot of secrets or whatever analyzed to tell, and I hope I can finish it not that short. Firstly, I just found the numbers really up to date. Just now I was not able to find it, and now I found it. So up until today, 8th of February 2020, there's 34,673 cases were confirmed. It's affected by the coronavirus. Yes, I can't remember that name exactly. And there were 2,377 cases were fully recovered. This is an all national number. And now look at the Wuhan's number. I'm going to show you here. So in Wuhan, there are 13,603 persons were confirmed, and there were 747 patients were fully recovered up until today, and 545 deaths. That's all official numbers. Okay, Chinese official numbers may not be that accurate, but we just have to use it right now. Okay, I know the number is not that precise, we all know, okay? But I just have to use it right now. So in Wuhan, the 747 patients were fully recovered, and Dr. Li, who was put into ICU for on the third or fourth day of his coughing, and dead after 25 days. Okay, I don't know what the hospital is doing. Okay, let's get back to my suspicious. Okay, and analyze. Now here is a very important part. Will start from here. Okay, so even though until 1st of February he couldn't talk, he couldn't speak, he couldn't even get out from his bed in the ICU, and he felt extremely difficult on breathing, but he was still alive, and he could still have the he still could talk to the actually he's typing on his mobile phone to reply all those interviews and speak, not speak really, but type the words and the feedback, everything on his mobile phone. He still got I would say he still living person, right? He was not out of conscious, or he's not that seriously couldn't even type a word or anything. So up until then, he was still okay. He was still fine, even though he was definitely deliberately not properly treated or didn't really get the right treatment for 21 days, 21 days up to 1st of February, but he was still alive. He can still talk to the journalists and news reporters on his mobile phone and reply messages, and he can think clearly, and he can speak very good sentence, whatever. Not speak, you know what I mean, type. So cautiously, he has no problem at all. However, his condition was getting really, really worse since when? According to his mother's video, which I saw yesterday. This was not in my blog article, because I wrote it on the 6th of February when he was just dead. So yesterday I saw the video, which was interviewed by some journalist to his mother. His mother is still alive, and his parents are all fine. They're all recovered, and his wife is fine as well with his pregnant baby. So they're all fine right now. But what his mother said, one line I think is quite important, that maybe later I will put in back into my article. What his mother said is, he was all fine before, since he get into ICU. When his mother says he was all fine, she says she could walk and she could eat, and so it's just not that well, but she was still fine. I don't know. I think his mother was must get all those informations from his nurse or from the ICU doctors or whatever, because nobody was allowed to get into there to see him actually for all the time. His mother said she didn't see him since 12th. He went to the ICU. From them, she never saw him again. And even after his death, they sent him immediately to the fire. I don't know how to say that word in English. To the fire. So even now, his mother couldn't see his ash box. It's really tragic. But my point is, what his mother said is, after he get into the ICU, he was all fine. He was still be able to walk around and talk at the beginning. However, the condition he was getting worse is in the past 2-3 days. That's what his mother was saying. Okay, so the past 2-3 days before the 6th of February was about, let's say he started to get really worse from either 3rd or 4th of February. That's according to his own mother in the video talk. That actually proved what I suspected was very likely to be true, even though, as I said, I don't have evidence. So basically, according to his mother, his health condition was bad, but not even deadly yet. He was really, really bad. His condition was really, really bad. Was started from 2-3 days before his death. That was about 3rd or 4th of February. So why? That's a point I wrote in my article before I knew his mother's information and interview. Because, okay, so what I wrote in my blog article, so I have to look at my computer again, is, at that moment, it's like I was foreseeing something. So what I wrote is, but in fact, before 31st of January, those people who hate Dr. Li was still limited to not to treat him, let him naturally killed by the virus. That's their strategy. Because they may not really want to get any, in the future be found out any evidence that they killed him by using some medicine or whatever medical treatment. They don't want to be caught at all. So what they did is never let him to be tested confirmed. That's why the test kit was delayed for 21 days until 1st of February. He start to get the positive result. Do you know why it's on 1st of February exactly he got the results that day? Because on 31st of January he was interviewed by the Chinese newspaper. That was the only reason. The day before, he was interviewed by the Chinese newspaper in Beijing, and then the next day, he got his test result. He was waiting for it for 21 days. That means, I think the people who want him die is not really the central government, it's the local government. I'll tell you why, okay? But right now, what I'm saying is, the timeline, it looks very suspicious that on 31st of January, he was interviewed by the newspaper, and then, it's now internet time, so all the media was using the digital media. Then the next day, everyone was looking at the news online, so everyone knows what happened to him. He didn't complain anything at that point, because I think he himself did not say anything. Maybe he didn't know, he didn't realize, or maybe he was worried about his life as well. He was worrying, if I'm complaining about the doctors, well, maybe bad things will happen to me. So in any case, in those news reports, he didn't complain anything about the hospital. All he was talking about is he didn't think he have done anything wrong, to tell people to be careful, you should be avoid to go to the fish market because we found 7 SARSs on 30th of December, exactly 1 month ago. So all he was talking about was a case that he was punished and he was called by the police, and they forced him to sign some paper. All he was talking about is this, and even so, he didn't complain. Really, he's a very kind person. He got a very good heart. He didn't complain much, and the journalists even asked him, do you hate that person who leaked your message to the police? He thought a while and said, at the beginning, yes, but now I think that's fine because I think they just forget about to hide my names, So he was trying to understand those people who leaked the information to the police, and they not really arrest, but at least ask him to sign the paper or whatever. That's quite serious in China already, because you may have the criminal record already because of that signing paper. Okay, let's get back to his death. So before 31st of January, he was still okay. And because that day he was interviewed, and then the next day, 1st of February, those people who wanted him to die was panic. They thought, okay, he was interviewed by the news, so we must give him the result right now to confirm that he was affected by this disease, okay? So on 1st of February, he finally received his test result, which is positive. However, according to his mother's timeline, then from third, about 2-3 days later, he started to be really serious. He lost his conscience. He couldn't breathe, and so on. So he got really seriously bad since he was interviewed. Do you know what I mean? When I wrote this article, I haven't heard of his mother's talk. However, I already said, before 31st of January, he was interviewed. Those people who hate him and they just want him naturally dead, not to treat him, and they just let him go, let him naturally dead. We didn't treat him. It's just naturally he died. However, what Dr. Li Wenliang, even I really think even himself didn't know, or he didn't imagine that what really killed him was not that he was arrested by the police and signed those papers, and then the highest court in China released the paper to say that's not right. The 8 people did the right thing. The police shouldn't caught him. That was not the reason he was killed. The real reason he was killed was because on 31st of January, he accepted the interview and said something. So what he said in that interview caused those people want him to die. Okay, I killed one line here, which is, for my personal view, is the most killing part, the killing lines. Okay. So, in the interview in 31st of January, he said he doesn't think he did something wrong because he was just trying to warn other people to be careful about the virus. However, maybe this line, the following line, was led by the interviewer or the news reporter, I don't know, but it looks like. And then he said the following word, which I quote. If at that time everybody pay attention to this, maybe there wouldn't be outbreak today. That line caused his death, in my personal view, or conspiracy reasoning. Why? Because when he said this, even though it's a common sense, however, when he said this on 31st of January, which was published the next day on 1st of February, everyone can go online and read this news and read what he said. And for this line, do you know what the 1st of February it is? Even though he said without any thinking, without any complaining to anyone, he was just telling a fact that everyone knows. However, at that time, the Chinese central government was sending I don't know how to say that, the checking group or how to say that, the officers I don't know that word. Let me quickly check it. Sorry, I really need to say this word. I don't know how to translate it. Inspection team. Okay, the central government sent off the inspecting team to Hubei and in Wuhan city and all other cities and everywhere in Hubei to find out the negligent officers and I really don't know how to say this word. I will show you. The malfeasance officer. Okay, so basically those officers who didn't do anything or who did the bad things or wrong things to cause those tragedy. Okay, or the massive spreading, the virus spreading. So that's the point. 1st of February, the Chinese central government's inspecting team in this province and in this city is trying to find out who is a rat, who is a bad officer who caused all those troubles, all those disease spreading and everything. Who caught those 8 doctors who was trying to tell everyone the truth and stopped the information leaking and so on. So basically the central inspection team was trying to find out which officer is responsible for all these failures. And now, at this point, Dr. Li said, if everyone paid attention at that time, then this outbreak wouldn't happen. Maybe you don't think that's very serious, but think about this. If you was a mayor who wears a very expensive watch, I think it's a Constantin, the very expensive watch, which was shot in picture and on internet, and every Chinese person was looking at it and laughing about it. It's definitely huge, too expensive to a mayor who officially probably only earn a few £100 a month or something, but he wears about 20 or 30,000 pounds watch. Okay, so that's the mayor of Wuhan, and another is a province leader, or the boss of the province. And he didn't know any numbers. So in the interview, and he always got the wrong numbers about masks. Firstly, he said 10 billion masks we have, and then finally he said no, it's not 10 billion. It's about 1,100 millions or something. So he got no idea what he was talking about, because he was reading the paper. Okay, that's the head of the province, and another vice president province leader is more terrible, because you know the Red Cross in Wuhan, in Hubei, it was hugely caused so much trouble for those doctors that couldn't have masks, couldn't have any medical cares, but they have to treat so many people. It's all caused because whoever donated to Hubei, who donated to the hospital, those medical and masks and everything, was taken by the Red Cross in Wuhan. You have to understand, the Red Cross in Wuhan and Hubei was not part of the worldwide Red Cross. Okay, they just use the name. But officially, they're not part of the worldwide Red Cross, because they refused to do the audition. That's another story. But anyway, if you were those people, those officers, mayors, or president leaders, and in your town, in your city, in your province, there's so much trouble going on, and the Chinese central government was trying to find out who was red, who caused this problem. And then now Dr. Li said, if what I said was taken count by that time, 1 month ago, now there's no outbreak, what would you think? You would be so scary, would you? That's so scary. He even cannot talk right now. Dr. Li is in ICU. He was isolated by anyone. They never thought any news reporter would find him in the ICU, because he couldn't have any guests, including his parents. But now the news reporter found him and interviewed him. And he said, if what I said could be paid attention to at that time, then now there's no the virus outbreak. And now he even couldn't talk, but he could type on the mobile phone. So if you were those rats, what would you do? I have no evidence. Again, I have to say, that's all my transparency reasoning, okay? All I have is a fact that he couldn't get test result confirmed for 21 days, living in the ICU, and his health condition was getting worse and worse. He couldn't even move, and he was all fine on 31st of January and 1st of February. When he was interviewed, he could still type, he could still write down all those words. He got a very sober mind, and then after 2 days, he suddenly lost consciousness and almost dying, and the last 2-3 days he was completely dying. That's all I know. So how he was killed and how he was dying, I don't know. I have no evidence. But all I know is until his heart stopped beating, there's no ECOM. Because what hospital claims is they don't have ECOM. It was or send it to another hospital. However, my question is, if you do not have ECOM to keep this doctor alive in the ICU, then why don't you send him to anywhere has ECOM to rescue his life? And why did you keep him for 25 days until he's dead? And why would you use the ECOM to try to save his life after I think it's 1 hour at least after his death? Because officially they announced his first death, or actually it's a death, was at 9:30 on 6th of February. However, there's some leak from his hospital's colleagues saying that actually at 8:30 his heart already stopped beating and his breath is already done. So actually according to his colleagues, he died at 8:30, but officially they announced that he died at 9:30, and then they were trying to save his life, call his life back by using ECOM, and they were trying for 6 hours. Then they released the official news said he officially died on 2:58 the next morning, 7th of February. The whole process is ridiculous on saving his life and so on. It's just a show. It's just a show. Because those people, why is that? Because they couldn't imagine how important he was in everyone's heart. They didn't thought of that. They just thought he's a normal doctor. They never thought he's a hero right now in everyone's heart worldwide. Those officers, they didn't understand. They didn't know. They just thought he's a doctor. He's nobody. If they knew he's so important that even the national WHO and the national union or union national, I don't know, national union would memory him, they wouldn't dare to do so, because that's so stupid. They couldn't understand why the whole world is paying attention to just a very young doctor. They can never understand. I was too angry. Sorry. I must come back to my article right now. Okay. So that was the second reason, and the third reason, I suspected he was not naturally died, but was delayed the treatment or was deliberately delayed or killed or whatever, for whatever reason, because I have no evidence. Okay. And the third reason is because it looks like the least important reason. However, it is also the most important reason, because that actually could be evidence. Why? The third reason is, please do not forget, Dr. Li is only 34 years old. He is very young and very healthy. He's only 34. To all the news report and the official Chinese government official figures, we can know that this virus, the most death cases, they are over 60s. So most cases who died in the virus is older people. And those who, there's no single case dead before 40, at least before Dr. Li passed away. Before, the news always says only older people would die in this virus infection, because the older people, they may have other disease already, like the high blood pressure or heart disease or whatever. So they already got disease already for older people. And then when they got the coronavirus, it's very likely that it will have the combined infection together that caused their death. That's why this infection is very dangerous to old people, because they are more likely to die. But for young people, most young people, they have very strong, they're very healthy, and they don't have other problems, other disease, and also they have much stronger communal systems. So until Dr. Li was dead, there's no young people dead, as far as I know, because they have very strong immune system. Therefore, and also in Chinese official numbers, that the percentage of the death rate is 2.1% only. Think about that. 2.1% rate for the death of this disease. And Dr. Li was treated from day 3 of his infection in ICU. and he's only 34. Is there any reason that he could naturally dead for this infection? I found that it's really, really, really hard to believe. And the last thing I want to say is why he was dead on 6th of February, exactly this day. There's another conspiracy thought or theory or reasoning I have, which is more scary than you could think. I'd rather it's a lie. I'd rather it's not true. Because, you know, this American medicine for this disease, it's getting very good result after the patient taking it. I think I don't have the English name here. I think it's remedy. Where is it? I could find it's the American Redeceiver. Okay, so in America, when doctor gives the patient, the affected, confirmed patient, to take this medicine, and the American patient had the high fever, temperature down to normal within 1 day, and the infection rate was 90%. So it's a best medicine and most effective medicine for exactly coronavirus right now. And because that medicine was not publicly used yet, however, the Chinese government has been contacted that medicine company, and they have given China for free to use to save all the lives. And the 7th of February was officially announced that will be the day this medicine will be delivered to all the hospitals in Wuhan to treat all ICU patients. You understand my theory right now? It's just right 1 day before the medicine could save his life arrived, and actually it's only a few hours before the medicine was delivered to Wuhan. Dr. Li Wenliang was found dead in ICU of the hospital he was working at, and he was treated in the past 25 days. That's my conspiracy reasoning. I think there's nothing more I can say. The last paragraph of my article is why they would use ECMOM try to rescue him after hours of his real death. It was because everyone, those one who wants to kill him, or those officers who was afraid of him to reveal all the truth to the public after he got recovered, those officers, they never thought about that a young doctor's death could cause so massive waves and feedbacks from the whole world. And this time, Dr. Li's death not only shocked the Chinese central government, but CNN, BBC, New York Times, CBS, everywhere in the world. I can't continue. So my last say is to use the United Nations word to him to finish this video is that thank you, Dr. Li, the young man who was trying to save the world. Thank you for watching. That's the end of my conspiracy reasoning to Dr. Li's death.